Hi there. I'm Miss Wang, and today I'm going to be talking about my philosophy of teaching, more specifically, how it relates to me teaching math. The 4P philosophy is pretty simple: passion, purpose, practice, and progress. These are the 4Ps I try and follow in my everyday life. I find and chase what I love, I realize my purpose to teach and help others, I become a master of my passions, always learning, and I celebrate the progress no matter how little, so that I can become a better educator, partner, and overall human being. In terms of math learning, I think it can be really hard for students to connect with the curriculum as much as they do with maybe language or the arts, because math can feel complex and impersonal. Using the 4Ps, my thinking has drastically changed from when I was a student. With the first P, passion, something I realized recently was that math had an integral part of some of my favorite things that on a surface level have nothing to do with math. For example, I've always had a passion for dance, and I never recognized how much math it took to understand how to do the perfect pirouette in terms of angles, trajectory, balance, or geometry. I never recognized how much math it took to calculate how many art supplies or how much paint I needed to create the perfect art piece, or how much it would take to start selling those pieces online. Once I did that, math didn't seem so trivial to me. I saw it everywhere I went, and I became interested in how to make that more clear to my students. And that meant allowing their creativity, their stories, and their unique personalities to be infused into my math lessons. That brings me to the second P, purpose. I distinctly remember sitting in my math classes wondering when I would ever need to calculate the slope of y equals mx plus b, or who in their right mind would ever buy 564 apples at the store. It seemed like a huge waste of time. But the first time I used math to figure out what a sale price would be while I was shopping, I love a good deal, I realized there was somehow a purpose to all of this madness. I want to make sure the problems I throw into my tests and culminating tasks are relevant to the lives and futures of my students so that they can find and name their own purpose behind the math. Just think about how engaged a class would be with their own interests, ideas, and current events affecting them being represented in their learning content. Once the passion and purpose are there, the hard work sets in with the last two Ps. Now, the practice can seem tedious, especially when you're familiar with the saying, practice makes perfect. But everything changed when my high school band teacher told us he preferred the saying, perfect practice makes progress. If you practice something wrong 100 times, it gets you nowhere. With the little tweaks for perfect practice, even if the progress is minuscule, it's still that progress moving you forward. Now, I've struggled with perfectionism for a long time, which made me a very conscientious but difficult student to teach when all I was grade focused. It took a lot of years and tears to realize perfection and that 100% isn't always, if ever, going to be attainable. But if progress is continuous and consistent, you can get pretty close. So, celebrating the little wins is a big part of my philosophy. I once watched this TED Talk by Rita Pierson called Every Kid Needs a Champion. And if you've seen it, you know this woman has changed so many lives in her career. But what stuck with me was this story she told about a boy who got 18 out of 20 questions wrong on a test, my biggest nightmare growing up. But she wrote plus 2 out of 20 and a smiley face. And when asked why, she said, because you got two right, you didn't get them all wrong. And I thought that was so powerful because it leaves so much room for practice and progress. But more importantly, it fosters hope and confidence in that student who believes a bad grade can determine their entire worth. Practices like retesting, orally answering questions, and formative tasks that are only handed in for feedback are only a handful of ways I would want to refocus the importance from grades to actual learning. I believe having this strength based approach in my philosophy, my assessment, and more importantly, my language can absolutely be life changing, so I can be the champion a student needs and deserves. This philosophy is something I think I needed to hear when I was growing up, but hopefully I'll be able to make that difference in the lives of anyone who enters my classroom. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, you can find me on Teachergram at Imperfect Primary, or check out my digital teaching portfolio at imperfectprimary.com. Have a lovely day.